If you've been paying attention to the NBA recently, you probably know what we're going to talk about. Leave a like and subscribe. We're going to talk about LeBron versus basically ESPN and basketball media. It's been one of the bigger stories of the past month or so. And let's just recap it all, help everyone understand, and get on the same page here. So, really, it's just LeBron versus ESPN. Yeah, I was going to make it the media, but it's really just ESPN. And it's mostly one guy at ESPN. We'll go into others later. However, so how did this start? You see this guy right here, the 55th overall pick. Typically, no one cares about the 55th overall pick. However, Bronny James was the 55th overall pick of the 2024 NBA draft. And ESPN seemingly cares about Bronny more than any other prospect. Not just ESPN, but everyone seems to care. Because it's LeBron's kid, obviously we're going to care more. But, what should we know about him? Just a few things. He was a 4-star recruit in high school as a 6'3" point guard. And he was very good in high school. He was pretty much consensus. I looked at all our rankings. No one had him lower than top 25 prospects of that potential draft class. When it was after his senior year of high school. And as you could see from the recruiting lists. And then he suffered a cardiac arrest on July 24th during USC basketball practice. And for those who don't know how serious a cardiac arrest is, about 90% of people who suffer cardiac arrest outside of a hospital, they do not survive. So it was a miracle that he was even able to survive, considering this happened at a practice and not in the hospital. He averaged only 4.8 points per game freshman year before declaring for the draft. Now, you look at that and think, yeah, that's pretty bad. Why would he declare for the draft? And this is where nepotism became a huge talking point over the summer. He's been accused of only making the NBA because of his dad, because LeBron, which makes sense. He stole an opportunity from another potential NBA player. And here is Anna Horford. She always gives bad takes. But she says, "My heart hurts for the players who didn't get drafted or who are stuck in the G League knowing they're legitimately stronger players than him." This is a very funny quote, actually. But I'm pretty sure it was pretty common knowledge that Bronny James was going to be in the G League for most of the year, at least when the season started. Typically, 55th overall picks are like two-way players. So, here's my opinion on Bronny James. I've tried to be objective so far, but here's my opinion, basically. He could have stayed another year at USC, and that probably would have made him a late first rounder or early second rounder, based off of what we're seeing already. And cardiac arrest, it affects your body and your mind. He needed to readjust to running around the court and playing, try to get back to the level that he was at. And seemingly it's taken him about a year and a half, basically. So, teams were reportedly interested in him before Rich Paul called and told them not to pick him. I remember reading reports during the draft that Rich Paul was trying to make boss calls to get Bronny James to the Lakers. And I specifically remember the Warriors came out and said they were interested in him, but didn't draft him because out of respect for LeBron. Apparently other teams, the Dallas Mavericks and the Minnesota Timberwolves, off the top of my head when I was doing research, they were also interested in drafting him. But it seems like, you know, Bron got his kid on his team. So, I mean, he's a 6'3" defensive point guard with athleticism. He's pretty much gonna get drafted, okay? defensive guards are like gold in the NBA. You look at Alex Caruso, Keon Ellis. They're It's just really great to have a defensive minded guard. As long as you give effort, you're gonna have a role in the NBA if you can shoot. And my overall take has been, I believe he would have made the NBA either way. Let's say hypothetically the Lakers didn't take him. A team would have immediately picked him up and put him on the G League. I think that I put 2023, but I meant 2024. I think this was the best chance the Lakers had to pick him. With the cardiac arrest affecting Bronny's play, I do think that it was kind of a golden opportunity to get him on LeBron's team without making it seem crazy, because it's a 55th pick. No one should really care. And if he stayed and he ended up doing way better, let's say averaging like 12 and on efficient numbers at USC the next year, like, I don't know, like, the Lakers probably wouldn't have gotten a chance to pick him because they're looking pretty good lately. Unless they were going to use a first-round draft pick on him. And who's to say someone wouldn't do that already? So, I think he would have made the NBA either way. He is very clearly an NBA player. I don't think there is a conversation about that anymore. And if there is, then you're just hating on him for no real reason. He's doing very good in the G League. 39 points the other night, and the only NBA game he got like real minutes and played against real competition, he had 17 points, pretty good shooting. He looked like he was one of the better players on the court. And that was when LeBron and Luka, I think Austin Reeves was also injured. This is against the Bucks too, so it's not like it's some scrubs. So yeah, I don't think there's any argument anymore that Bronny James belongs in the NBA. Now, the Stephen A. plot, as you can see, he went on and said, I am pleading with LeBron James as a father. Stop this. He was questioning LeBron as a father for letting Bronny James play in the NBA. I'm going to repeat that. He's questioning LeBron as a father for letting his kid play in the NBA. The way he is phrasing it, it's like LeBron is forcing him to do manual labor in a factory, and he's like 12 years old. I'm pretty sure they've talked about this, and this is something Bronny wants to do. So, he so-called exposed LeBron's team after this, because after he said that, he went on his own like YouTube channel and talked about how Bron's team wanted to reach out and talk to him, and he told him, hell no, we're not gonna do this in private or something. You could come on the show or something like that. I can't really remember. My apologies. Stephen A. has said before, it's you could check like past clips. He said, if players have a problem with me, they could come talk to me at the games, because he sits courtside at a lot of games, especially Knicks games. So the Knicks played the Lakers, and before the fourth quarter, they were down. They were down like 7-8 points or something like that. And LeBron saw Stephen A. And we got this. This was a video of LeBron yelling at Stephen A. Stephen A. basically taking it like a good boy. And the whole world could see. By the way, the Lakers did go on to win that game and come back. And LeBron was leading the charge. So, what are each of their arguments so far to this point? LeBron is saying, hey bro, keep the personal life out of it and chill on my family. And Stephen A. is saying, I'll say whatever the hell I want. Could have talked to me in private. Keep in mind, LeBron's team did reach out to him. Tried to talk to him in private. And then he made that public. Okay, Stephen A. So after the confrontation, what happens? This guy goes on a crazy media tour for like 2 to 3 weeks. Like I don't know, like an actor just won an award. Like, he went on his own show, to say LeBron's full of it. He went on, this is the Gilbert Arenas podcast, I believe. He was talking crazy on this one. Like, we didn't just see him get bitched in real life. And we got him going on Fox News. Fox News. And talking about it. And Hannity was saying, I would have had your back. I'm so sure you guys would have stepped up to LeBron James, okay? And you could tell, you know what, let's go back. He said he didn't want to have to talk about it, but the clip went viral. Yet he goes on this media tour talking about it, okay? So, this guy seems to lie a lot, don't you guys think? So then LeBron speaks again. He goes on Pat McAfee's show. It was a very good interview. They talked about a lot of things. He reflects on the decision from like 2010. He talks about how players from today would dominate back then, which is, it's true. He's basically flipping what the media has been doing, saying players from back then would be great nowadays, which, come on, man, let's be real. And it was just a great interview, but also he goes all in on ESPN and how they cover basketball. Says Stephen A is missing his whole point. And he makes fun of Stephen A and Brian Windhorst by name. Brian Windhorst has come out and basically apologized about what he said about LeBron and the Nike shoe deal, which is stupid. Comparing him to MJ. I do think that ESPN does make their people say outlandish stuff to get takes. I think they were doing it with Max Kellerman, and I think they did it with him, and it cost him and LeBron's relationship. So that really sucks. But like, I don't know, Stephen A, yeah, he has ruined basketball. We'll talk about that later. So Stephen A. Smith starts digging his hole deeper, calls LeBron a liar on his podcast. He claims he would have immediately swung on LeBron had LeBron put his hands on him. No one really asked or brought that up. Wasn't even a thought that LeBron would have put his hands on Stephen A. So I'm not sure why he brought that up. Nick Wright brought up that he's basically doing the thing where you're thinking later in the shower and thinking of all the things you could have said and could have done, but he's doing it like in front of a camera for all of us to see, which is really embarrassing for a 60-year-old man. He brought up Kobe Bryant's memorial, and he was all, his whole tangent was off. He's like, I didn't even get that personal. I could have brought up how the real reason you weren't at Kobe's memorial, and I could have brought up the real reason, like, why weren't you at Dwayne Wade's Hall of Fame introduction? Where LA Times confirmed LeBron was there at the time it happened. So it's not just damage control. Like, these articles came out as they happened. He could have just done a little bit of research. LeBron specifically asked that the cameras not be on him. And when Stephen A was caught in this lie, he started backtracking and moving the goalposts. Saying like, oh yeah, he was in the building, but why wasn't he showing his face there? Like, come on, bro. Just admit you're wrong, okay? And so he brought up Wade's Hall of Fame induction. And if you look at the news, it was happening very close to when his son almost died and got out of the hospital. They were still having to make like weekly visits to the hospital. So, I don't know. If I had to pick between taking care of my son and taking him to his appointments, because I almost lost him to cardiac arrest, or going to probably my best friend's Hall of Fame induction, I'd probably pick my son. I don't know. I can always just treat my friend to dinner later. But I almost lost a kid, okay? So, if you can't see that, you're probably too blinded by hate for LeBron. And he mentions all of LeBron's family by name. He was talking about Savannah, trying to say, oh, I'd never say bad things about Savannah or his mom, and saying he would never say anything bad about them. This guy just does not understand LeBron's point that you could talk basketball, but don't make it personal. Stephen A still does not think this is personal. Probably because he doesn't really have a family. Like, he doesn't have a wife. I don't think he has a kid. He's just like a bitter old man. And he claims he will not talk about LeBron when he retires. I can guarantee that he will. Because when LeBron retires, he's probably going to have his own podcast or have his own show or something. He's going to be very active in the NBA, from what we can tell. The way he wants to prop up players. Basically be the NBA legend that he wishes NBA legends were to him when he was coming up. And yeah, he is going to talk about LeBron because that is what pays his bills. Let's just talk about Stephen A. He is a cancer to the sport and just sports journalism in general. And this is specifically a basketball problem. Baseball coverage. They don't do this. They don't put down players back then on other shows, okay? They don't do that. No one is putting down, like, no one is putting down Greg Maddux and saying, oh yeah, but he's not nearly as good as, like, Zach Wheeler today. Like, no one's doing that. They don't do that in baseball because they respect the past. Now, they'll say it as a joke, but no one's seriously making that argument. Okay? They don't do that in football. Could you imagine? Like, what was it? Tyreek Hill, great wide receiver. They compare him to, like, any receiver from back then? And they just start putting him down? No. These other sports, they love the game, okay? This is a basketball thing, and this is an ESPN thing, because when ESPN covers football, all they talk about is legacy. Okay? That's basically all it is. This is why they don't talk about baseball as much, because, like, legacy doesn't really matter too much in baseball. Mike Trout, he could have an argument for the GOAT debate. He's never won a ring. It doesn't really matter. Like, no one really cares. There's not a consensus GOAT in this. When Patrick Mahomes was looking for the three-peat and he lost, all they were talking about was how he's never going to catch up to Brady. Like, can we not just appreciate that he almost won 3 championships in a row? You just have to compare him to Brady. You don't have to do that. Nothing has to be a legacy talk all the time. Okay? And it's so annoying because ESPN does this the most. He's the highest paid man at ESPN, yet he very obviously does not watch the games he is paid to cover. He's a Knicks fan, and he didn't even know players on the roster last year when talking about them, okay? He doesn't watch basketball, yet he's paid $250 million. He is bad, okay? He's been shitting on players for decades now, and he's finally being called out on it. He's an attention whore who doesn't believe 90% of what he says. And his main purpose is to get views online. Okay? That's his only goal. I could see why he wants to go into politics. There's no backbone in the man. He switches up every time. Okay? He's great at lying. Actually, no, he's not, because we can call him out every time. As you can see, I've had issues with him. I've made 2 videos about it before. One in 2023 when it came out that he got Max Kellerman fired, or they had a bad relationship or something. And I'm not really sure what that video was about on the left. But he probably did something that was stupid and I was mad at him. So the solution, plan A, take ESPN's rights to NBA games away and give it to another network that will have good analysis. The only good thing that comes out of ESPN covering NBA games is Mike Breen's commentating. Oh, and Scott Van Pelt, he does pretty good. I like his shows on ESPN, but they show him at like ungodly hours to watch TV. So instead, I'd rather see Kendrick Perkins and Stephen A. Smith talk. No, I don't care what they have to say. Plan B, everyone needs to stop caring about Stephen A. Smith until no one watches. The more we care about him, the stronger he gets, basically. So hopefully after this LeBron situation, no one cares about him anymore. Let's just stop, okay? I might make one more video about this later in a future series I plan on that Stephen A. does qualify for. But I really do not want to keep talking about him. He's probably one of my least favorite figures in sports. He is a narrator to the game of basketball, yet he thinks he's the main character of the game of basketball. Why would I ever want to talk about him? He is bad at his job. He is horrible. And I cannot wait for him to retire. So, what did we learn, guys? NBA media is in the dirt. As ESPN and TNT, they are awful at covering their sport. Awful. Okay. Thankfully, inside the NBA, I don't actually know if that show's ending. I think they're just moving to ESPN. So, hopefully NBC has good coverage. I have high hopes for Amazon and NBC because, please just give us some analysis. Please. The NBA media needs a reset. The problem with the NBA is not the games. It is not. Part of it could be fixed by the commissioner. I might make a video about that later, but a lot of it could be fixed within the media. Reset the whole media. Throw out all the legacy talks. I shouldn't have to care or see anyone bring up Jason Tatum's legacy or Anthony Edwards' legacy or Nikola Jokic's legacy. I shouldn't have to see that. Okay? Yet that's all you guys talk about. I understand talking about LeBron's legacy because he is an old NBA player and he's probably the greatest player of all time, either him or Jordan, depending on where you stand. But like every other player, we don't need to talk about it. We can just let them be them and not overly criticize every single thing and say this is gonna hurt their legacy if they lose. Can we just get some positive coverage? I know the media loves negativity. I'm a victim of this myself. I do cover a lot of negativity. And I don't know. I would just like to keep that to YouTube channels. And when it's the actual sports shows, I would like to see actual analysis and praising the game instead of shitting on it constantly. because you're making old NBA fans think, oh yeah, I guess the NBA today does suck. Where if you watch it, these guys are so good. The game has evolved so much. Okay? And we are just reminded once again that Stephen A is an egotistical loser with a TV show. He will never change. He's never gonna change, okay? If you watch that clip of him bringing up Kobe Bryant and Dwayne Wade to LeBron and making it personal once again, it's like he thought that we were going to be on his side. He was trying to rally the Kobe Bryant stands to get on his side, but everyone just called him weird. It's like he was trying to get a Meet the Grams edit of him talking about LeBron James, basically trying to do his you lied about all these things. But no, because he's the biggest liar here. He's so bad, okay? I try not to hate on a lot of things too much as I have grown up. But I truly do hate how he covers the sport. And he is directly responsible for the game being where it's at. Because for 20 years, he decided he wanted to protect Michael Jordan's legacy and did not fuck with LeBron. And that's why this is where we're at. And yes, I mentioned he has been shifting to politics lately. He's probably gonna become a right-wing grifter in some time, because if your career like takes a dive, you can always just start grifting to the right and they'll take you. I'm not gonna bring up what I think about that, but he wants to be a Democratic Party member. That's not going to happen. He's very bigoted on his subjects. And if he's picking fights with LeBron, you're not gonna win that vote. You're not, okay? So you're better off going to the right, where the right hates LeBron. So yeah, he's probably gonna be a right-wing grifter in a year or two after this. I just want to thank you guys for watching. And here is Stephen A. boxing. LeBron posted this, which was pretty funny. That's basically what caused this Stephen A. Smith quote-unquote crash out, as the kids are saying. But leave a like and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. I don't really think Stephen A. has a point at all. I will say that if it was like just because he was talking bad about Bronny and that's why LeBron stepped in, then he does have a little bit of a point that LeBron shouldn't have to fight his battles. But he has been shitting on Bronny for a bit, but it only happened when he questioned LeBron as a father. So that's why I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, if you agree with Stephen A, you're probably just a really big LeBron hater, and you probably need to grow up. So leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.